How you doing? And welcome to Neither Real Music. I'm Ed, and this is Just Play It, my song series dedicated to teaching people arrangements of songs I enjoy playing and things that I like making arrangements for. If you've been following along, we have been working on Autumn in New York by Vernon Duke. In this video, we're going to be looking at measures 17, 18, 19, and 20. This brings us to the halfway point of the song, so we're going to start experimenting, start looking at different ways of creating some of the arrangements. Before we get started, please remember to subscribe and ring the bell so that you know when your next lesson is coming. Let's take a look at Autumn in New York by Vernon Duke. We're going to start with our first measure, measure 17. Unlike in the earlier part of the song where we used a blocked chord, to make our idea work, we're going to use thirds. So we're going to start with a simple group of thirds using double stops through the whole sequence. So we're going to go with 10th fret, 9 and 8, 7 and 6, moving up a string to 8 and 7, and then 7 and 5. All of these outline notes for a G minor 7 chord. In the same way that we had our G minor 7 chord in the beginning, we're using different versions of G, B, D, and F to get us through our sequence. As we go into our second measure, I'm going to be starting with my finger here on F and outlining a B flat major chord. Effectively, I'm using this idea as a substitute for G minor 7, while keeping my melody going. So instead of having G as my bass note, I'm using this F as my bass note, the fifth from a B flat major chord. From there, we're going to build a C augmented chord with D as my melody. So C, E, and G sharp, or A flat, and then D as my melody. Okay? As you can see, we're kind of walking through these measures relatively quickly because they're all things we've done before. We're just looking at them in a new light. So we start with our thirds. I like to strike this open A to kind of fill it out and give us a little bit of a rhythmic idea. Then to our B flat major 7, substitute for G minor 7. To a C augmented chord. I like augmented chords, one, because they're parent chords, but two, because they could take the place of a lot of dominant sounding chords. This is very true of a lot of diminished chords as well. So in this case, this C augmented is filling in some space for where I'm going next, which is a C7. So if we break this down one measure at a time, we go through measure 1. Measure 2. As we go into measure 3, we are going to start activating the melody, changing the melody. So I'm going to build an F major chord here in 8th position. And you're going to see that it kind of sounds just like what we did before when we did our walking bass line. But instead of using the walking bass line to connect things, we're going to use a melody line. Now, in order to accomplish this melody line, you're going to need a good, strong bar. If you do not have a good, strong bar, you can abandon holding the chord and just play the melody. And as long as you state the chord on beat number 1, you could let go of the chord for the rest of the sequence. So when we do measure 3, I start with this F major chord, F major 7 chord. If you can help by letting these 2 notes continuously ring, that's great, but if you can't, you just let it go. To G minor 9. Notice I let go of the chord to get my last note so that I could set up my bar on an A minor 7 chord. So that brings us into the beginning of measure 4 when we hit this A minor 7 chord. Once again, you can state the chord on measure 1 and let go of the rest of it so that you can get these next 2 chords, which are D7 to D flat 7, done as a compound style shape or a shell chord. So if we back up and we do just measures 3 and 4, we start with our F major 7, G minor 9, measure 4, A minor 7, D7 to D flat 7. So in this sequence, we've added in a substitute chord and we've used a melody sequence to help connect 2 sections together that otherwise are pretty dull. There's really nothing going on except a long-held sung note. Now let's try this with a little bit of time and some tab. So what I'd like you to do is, I'm going to count you in. You could follow along. Then you could look at a tablature of this so that you could try to pick up and practice. If you have a hard time playing at the speed that I'm working at, please feel free to pause and just take a look at the tablature and work it out as you see fit. Sometimes explanations aren't that easy, but tab shows you exactly what to do. Let's take a look at this with some time and a tab. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's look at this with the tab. 1, 2, 3, 4. This video I went through a little bit quicker than usual because a lot of the information is stuff that you've seen already. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. Compliments are nice, but questions let me know that you're working on these things. If you're really interested in learning more, please feel free to visit my Patreon and help me with $1 a day. This way I can start putting aside more time to do more in-depth videos. Please remember that if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, ring the bell. I want to grow this channel and every subscription helps tremendously. Good luck. Good practice.